Chemist,
You'll never get it. Fun, Zach.
I tried. All right. And we'll have the approval of the minutes here if everybody wants to go across them.
Minutes is presented.
Second, all in favor? Aye. All right, public comments. Diane and John Strauss.
This,
You have any comment?
how's things going?
Bumpy.
Hear nothing. Hear nothing.
Actually. Nothing. Mr. Sefranco? Nothing. We're striking out. How about it, Rocky?
Maybe afterwards. Or during.
All right. The funding update there by Mr. Bordner.
Yeah, I'll give you the whole funding update here. So the bond fund, since we went for settlement on that, these are the numbers that I calculated. State website taught to update theirs, I think, but 99% sure that's the hard and fast numbers for the bond fund in the end, what we're paying. And that includes all the incidentals and the interest and everything else that went with that. The next number you're gonna see is an estimated encumbered fund for the 5 farms. That's the Seal Farm, Miller Graver Farm, the Comfort Farm, Dagenhart Farm, and Ecker Farm. That's the number as of right now. Obviously, that's gonna shift a little bit when we start looking at, when settlement is and how much the title is and all that kind of stuff. So, but that's kind of the base number to work with there. There's not gonna be too much of a change to that, but there will be some. Then what we have is remaining. Now, that doesn't include what we're projecting so far with the Strauss and Seller Farm. The Strauss Farm, we're expecting to use up about $203,500 roughly. On the Seller Farm, I can't really give you a number on that because as we'll get into later, he requested to have his own appraisal done. So I don't really have a number for that. I have the number of what we offered. But that's all I can go off of. Given what we offered for both of them and what we're projecting so far, we're looking at only a total amount of funding left from 2024 to be about 112,000. About 33,000 from the state and about 79,000 county funds.
How much county? 90? What did you say?
Call it by like 80, call it 79. Those numbers are gonna fluctuate based off of, how much title searches cost and all that kind of stuff.
What was the state,
What?
was the state number that was left after that?
State number was roughly 33,000. About a total of $112,000 in 2024 funds is what we're gonna have left. But again, if the Seller Farm, if that appraisal comes in higher and it gets adjusted, obviously his number is gonna go up and the amount of 2024 funds we have is gonna go down. So I didn't wanna put anything on the sheet with that till I didn't have anything close to being accurate.
Why haven't the figures for the farms that were encumbered been forwarded to the state?
The 5 ones,
The 5 farms, why weren't they forwarded to the state?
they have been. So right now, they've been encumbered and we are working on getting them up to state board. I have them set.
That's what I'm asking you. Why hasn't it been presented to the state board?
Well, the state board put back a bunch of them in December. Almost all 5 of them, they put back from the December date.
Reason being?
Too many, they wanted, there was like 1 or 2 things missing from the paperwork that they wanted. So we're getting that all straightened out now, getting that straightened out. I have. I think they wanna get the Comfort, Dagenhart and Eckerd Farm in for their February meeting. The Steel Farm, which we'll talk about in a little bit, there was a hiccup in our bylaws that we had to make a change, that's why we have the meeting today. That they required to have in our bylaws before they would take it to state board. So we're gonna get that straightened out, and, I'm not sure if they signed anybody to check the Miller Graver form, I have to take a look at that again in the computer. But they pick forms that they check and they get them through.
So you have Eckhart, Engelhart,
And Comfort, they requested to see if I had everything together, and, I gotta get back to them this week.
all right, well, what are the holdups that they're throwing in your face?
The holdup right now,
Yeah, with the
they're
state.
getting the last of the paperwork done for the Comfort, Dagenhart and Eckerd Farm. The last of the paperwork, it's, stuff like they needed to check with subordination agreement. Now, they needed updated copies of the survey. They want updated copies of, for the Dagenhart Farm, I have to get the paperwork on their trust, which is something we never did before. So I have to get the whole paperwork showing how the farm went into a trust. So, I mean, we're moving as quick as we can with this, but I mean, it is a process. They do take time to get some of the paperwork together.
I understand that, but the reason I'm asking is because I keep getting phone calls from these people, where are we at, where are we at, you know?
Well, I tell them when the
Yeah.
cost, yeah.
Yeah. So anyhow, I don't know what to tell them because you don't tell me nothing. And, I just say I'll have to contact you or Anna to find out what the holdups are, you know, but again, that's fine there.
So
But as soon as we can get it done, let's get it done and stop dragging our
I have a
feet.
question, which was the farm, the Steel or the Eckerd farm that was in the estate? Which one was that? That the,
That was the steel farm.
that was the Steel.
Steel, yeah, she passed away.
Right, okay. So what do they want from the Steel? Why are we I understand why we're amending the bylaws. So what was the acreage on that?
The acreage?
Yeah.
Because there were 2 separate parcels, we had to qualify it at 2 separate. If the tracks weren't connected, we had to do it at 2 separate parcels.
So that's why they're looking for the specialty crops.
Yeah, and that's what I had to do in order to get the bottom one qualified,
Understand.
yeah.
But that's kind of being nitpicky that they're pulling that one apart from the steel farm. The Steels can't help that 443 creates a natural
Oh,
subdivision.
yeah. that's-
Not the 443 creating the natural subdivision, the fact that they sold off a section of the parcel. That actually separates the two, it's not 443, it's not the road, there's a parcel there that belongs to. Another person that they sold off years and years ago. And that created 2 tracks that were not connected.
Oh, all right.
Understand.
All right, next question's gonna be here, we go have to old business. Right? You wanna have to old business?
Yeah, I kind of gave you guys an update on Steel, Mill, Graver, Comfort, Dagenhart and Eckerd Farm. You know, that's where we're at with it. I'm trying to get them in for the February meeting. And hopefully I get all them in. The Steel one again, I'm gonna find out once we get this bylaw approved, I'm gonna see if I need to wait another meeting or if they could do the bylaw change and approve the Steel meeting. I don't know if they're gonna do that. They may say we have to do the bylaw change first, then wait for their next meeting to approve the Steel one. So whichever way they go, they go.
All right, next question for you is, Solar Farm. Did he accept at the last meeting, did he accept the appraisal?
And actually working on those.
Yeah, so I'm taking those over. The Seller Farm is gonna get a second appraisal, and they have 120 days to get that back to us from when, I think from when they let us know, so that was November 2nd. So by February 28th, we'll need an answer about their appraisal. And then the Straucus Farm, we reached out to Carbon Search and Settlement, and we got the information, the paperwork back from them, so we're just kind of waiting to go through that.
John and Diane went with the appraisal that was put forth.
Yeah.
Okay,
I do have a question on that one though. I had an appraisal done when we bought. How long was that good for?
A year with the.
Why is
program. It was 1 year.
only 1 year allowed?
Yeah, that's what the guidebooks from the state says.
Cause I know our appraisal was for 365 and we did go with yours because you said that it was not in the time frame.
Yeah, that was why. Oh, wait, so are you asking about your new appraisal?
No, I didn't get another one. I went with,
Yeah.
we were happy with yours, but I was asking about our appraisal because it was quite a bit higher.
Yeah, it has to be, the newer one. It can't be a year and a half old. According to the state guides, it has to be like within 12 months, the past 12 months.
What you were talking about? Bob's, did I hear that he did?
No, he chose to get his own done.
Yeah, but did you? How do you say, accept their offer before, or did you, like we did? Or did,
No, I said I'm gonna get seeking a second appraisal or as to why.
I didn't hear what, because
Right?
Dick was saying, if you accepted the appraisal,
she said he didn't,
he didn't.
he didn't.
Okay, I didn't hear that.
Oh, sorry, yeah.
She said he didn't, so he has the right to have another appraisal done at his own expense. And like, Anna just said, he has to have it back into us by February 28th. All right,
So now with regards to mine, I got a copy of John's appraisal. I looked at mine and I'm trying to figure out what the difference is. So there are significant differences. So when I called Mr. Gelati, he says, well, I didn't realize there was that much, right? And he used different comps on the two farms on the high end of things. So then I said, can you make an adjustment? And of course, he didn't get back to me. It was over the holidays and David got back to him and said, his stance, unless the board rescinds his appraisal, then he can go back and correct it. I've reached out to a couple of firms. We're unique here, right? Mr. Gelati and his firm, Andre's Appraisal, has been doing ours here, right? There's nobody else. I don't know how far David reaches out, but you know, I've had, let's see. One guy said they didn't want to come up here, right? I did talk to another guy today, right? But if you, and I made a motion for one of you guys, because I can't make the motion to rescind, right there in front of you. Make a motion to rescind the motion from the October meeting of the acceptance of my appraisal and ask Mr. Gelati to reconsider his values that he uses. And then he can do that, but he can't do it unless we rescind the motion to accept it. So if one of you gentlemen would do that, it puts me in better standing. I don't have to reach out for a second appraisal.
do we have to do anything different? Because the bylaws are quite clear. He can accept the original, or he can reject it and get his own at his cost. Is there anything technically that we have to abide by here, other than our bylaws?
You can rescind.
No, that was a motion.
I never had that like it pop up, so I.
understand.
That's
If I-
the appraiser saying that, but
Yeah, I understand. And David told me he couldn't modify it because we already accepted it, right? But if we rescind the acceptance, if you guys rescind the acceptance and ask him to reconfigure, readjust his figures,
I'm asking for advice back there, you two.
Robert's Rule of Order says you can rescind that motion.
Well, if you rescind it,
Technically, with a lawyer, are we gonna be doing anything we shouldn't be doing there?
Can he rescind the motion?
Pardon?
You wanna know, can he rescind the motion?
Can the board rescind a motion accepting the original appraisal due to the discrepancies between the two appraisers? The two appraisals, and my understanding of Robert's Rule of Orders is that we can.
what is the other appraisal you're talking about?
You can,
Well,
okay,
Let's
on,
look it up.
Mr. Gelati can, if you rescind the acceptance of the original proposal, he can go back and readjust his figures as he sees fit. Right? But unless you rescind the original appraisal accepted, then you can't do that. Then he can't adjust his figures. My problem is, there's no other appraisals around, so this is really my only way out. Or turning the offer down.
I'm not comfortable answering these questions without a solicitor. This is.
Well, that's why I'm
this we
asking,
need a
that's why I'm
solicitor. I
asking.
can't answer, I mean, I can look what's in here, but I'm not a solicitor, I'm not gonna answer these questions. So,
We're retaining a solicitor, so
That's
we
why we
should
retain a
ask
solicitor.
yeah,
the solicitor.
I mean, we can get, a comment into Jenny. But yeah, I can't,
If he did not accept the original appraisal,
Did not.
all right? He did not say, I'm accepting. His only other option, according to our bylaws, is to hire an appraisal at his own expense.
I'm not gonna answer these questions without checking with Jenny.
The question before us now is, can we rescind the motion to accept that original proposal?
I don't, to answer that question, and then you'd have to get legal counsel, I don't know if you can take it from the table once you've moved out of the meeting. So if you made the meeting, if you were doing it now, and you wish to rescind the motion, like you made a motion now and you second, you could rescind the second and agree to take the motion off the table, but the fact that you've moved on from that meeting and you've basically closed the meeting, and now you're in an, I seriously doubt you can rescind the motion. You may come back in and change a motion, but you can't rescind a motion once you've closed the meeting. You've adjourned the meeting. So that would be, without my law degree, that would be, I've never known of anybody being able to, you can change the motion, you can go back in and revote, but I don't think you can rescind the motion after you've closed that meeting. Because that's part of the official records. And you can't, and then you came in and you voted to agree to those minutes. And now you want to change not only the motion, but you also want to change the minutes. And there's a lot of legal questions that would arise there.
So what do you do when somebody else doesn't accept the appraisal? Do they have to start over with a new application or?
If they don't want to accept it, their option at that meeting is, I'm gonna hire my own appraisal, and I have 30 days to get it done, to get it back to the board.
So if they don't get it,
To David.
so if they don't get it done in 30 days, they'd have to wait till next year's cycle.
No. If I don't get an appraisal back by the 28th, right, comparable, which I think after today's phone calls, there was 6 or 7 of them, I believe I can, right? Or I can just, if I don't like what I'm getting from the new appraiser, I can just turn the offer, I can decline the offer, and then I go into the next round, right?
Well,
Because we never had this before.
shall we table it until Jenny has a chance to look at it and give us advice
I
to
would
the
table
board?
it, I would
Yeah.
table, make motion to table until after you have
Table.
legal counsel, yes.
All right,
Would be your safest.
all right.
I have a question on that though. How long, when you were in the same time I was for our farm, right? We had 30 days to make a decision, yes or no. Correct?
Yes,
Yeah.
decision
accept it.
to accept or to say I need 120 days.
What I'm not understanding, did you accept or did you just
No,
deny? it?
I elected to get another appraisal, which I'm
Okay.
having a hard time doing,
Okay,
so.
I understand that part. That's what, remember when Deanna and Dennis put the farm in? When I was on the board? They elected to get another appraiser. And they went, and it was a little bit higher. They paid for it and they got another,
That's the right,
that was the way we did it.
yeah, that was the right to do that, but since he's saying to me.
That's how many months ago,
It's a
right?
different horse that's in the stall right now. I'd be more comfortable getting an opinion from, the attorney.
Yeah, to simplify,
Just so we don't make a
like, if
mistake.
you were doing it now and then you wanted to go back and I think you could probably pull some of that. But to try to go, and you'd have to, the person who seconded has to agree to rescind the motion also.
Like I say, and I wrote it down for these guys to do, because I can't make the motion on it.
Right.
No.
Involves myself, right? But I'm just giving them the information that I received.
Yeah, but I mean, with the fact that you've gone through the minutes and you've agreed stuff and you're outside of that meeting,
We have,
I take.
we have a difference that we have to follow the
We
rules
have our own
compared to the
guidelines.
appraiser's rules.
Yeah.
You don't care about our rules.
So you wanna contact Jenny Chang
Yeah, we will.
and get an
Contact
opinion
her,
and then contact him, so.
Mr. Person wanted a phone call from you yesterday also, which you did not return.
With that?
Mr. Person, Mr. Bill Person, he
Yeah.
called into you and he said I talked to him about, was that yesterday or today? I don't know. I'd have to check my phone, but he did not receive a phone call back from you.
I did not receive a phone call from Mr. Person, and I've been,
He called me on Friday. He called me back. He says, I have a call into Mr. Bodnar and he's gonna call me back on Monday.
no, I did not have any, call from him or any message, so I will reach out to Mr. Parsons, then Bill Parsons, and I will get in touch with him.
He called me at, he called me this morning. Cause I was kind of busy yesterday. Called me at 12:05 and said you didn't return his call, so he didn't think he was gonna be able to do the comparable appraisal.
I haven't received a phone call, but I will call him.
His number is 377-0100.
What's his number again?
610-377-0100.
Six ten.
Hmm?
0570.
I got it.
Oh.
I got it.
I thought the area code would stay down there, okay.
All right. All right, have a motion by the board here that David's gonna contact the solicitor and get the correct direction to go here, and then you will contact Mr. Swart as soon as you find out. All right?
And we
Alright.
will all contact, we'll make sure the whole board knows what's going on,
Yeah.
okay?
All right, so I have a motion to that effect?
Make motion.
Second the motion.
All in favor? All right. So you already discussed the Dengelhart, Miller Graver, Hooper Farm, blah, blah, blah. As soon as you get the paperwork done, you're submitting that to the state. Now, you said you're only gonna submit 3.
Whatever the state's ready to go with. If they can take all 5, I'll give them all 5.
Give them all 5.
Yeah, that's what it is, it comes down to what the state's
Yeah.
willing to take.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay, then John and Diane, you're standing pat on the appraisal and you wanna go forward with that? All right, so you didn't submit that to anybody yet?
No, we just got the title search and
What?
You're looking at the minutes. Your agenda's over there. There you go.
No, I'm just circling on my spreadsheet there. So,
Anna talked about that. We just got the title search back. Yeah, cause she's gonna be handling that one and the telephone, going through most of the work with that. Okay, learn how to do it.
all right, good enough, good enough.
Like you said, you got your title search on ours.
Then again, John, I'm sorry, my hand's real
You
bad.
said you got the title search on ours back already.
Yeah, we got the title search back.
There should be farm credit on it.
Yeah, we just gotta check and see. The biggest thing we gotta do right now is check to see if the deed closes. If the deed doesn't close, then I gotta order a survey. So that's what we're picking that up when we got it.
Didn't we just have a survey done?
No,
You did not.
No.
You went by the,
by what was there.
let's remind us, it has to close with what, 1,000 feet?
No,
Something
one
like that. I have to
percent,
check.
has to close within 1%.
Yeah, I'd have to be like, within like a certain closing
Certain-
requirement.
Certain footage.
Square footage has to close within 1%.
All right, so if it would close,
Then,
we can expedite his.
yeah, then we don't have to go through the survey process if it closes within the range.
I forget what the footage
Who,
is myself.
who makes that determination? The surveyor?
If it closes,
Yeah.
no, we do that. I
Okay.
would probably get in touch with Jason at Map and make sure I do it right,
Okay.
but
all
he
right, so
probably
that's
would
done
do
in-house.
that,
All right.
based off of what the deed has, we'll get the number for the Travis and then if it closes, then we don't have to worry about getting a survey.
Okay. All right, new business, the amendments to the bylaws, section 6, article 6.4A, 1B. Anna?
All right, so this is the paper that you guys have about the amendment. So we just want to add a list of crops unique to the area to the program bylaws so that we can preserve a farm that's only 10 acres in size if it does use the crops unique to the area. So we have to like make a list of our crops unique to the area for the county, for you guys. So if we can go off of the list on the paper, if you guys, I don't know, kind of want to vote on or just say which ones you think are unique to this area or not. Did I explain that right?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, this is required when we were trying to get the field farm through, they kind of stopped me on it. And said that we didn't have any of these lists in our bylaws and we have to have it. So that would have held up John farm if it didn't hold up the deal farm, because he was also doing one with unique crop to the area for being under the lawn, so. That's all this is, nothing changes, it just, state board wants a list in our bylaws, so.
Yeah, so we're just gonna add a section of the list to article, make it article 6.5. I'm really not sure which crops are unique to the area. I just know this list is from the state guide and it did not include sunflowers and we want to have you guys
We're gonna do,
include
put
sunflowers.
18 on there. Sunflowers and other specialty grains or vegetables for the pet food or specialty food processing market. That sound good? So we get other
Right.
grains, these special wheats
Right,
and stuff for milling and special corns for milling and stuff like that.
right.
Okay.
Okay.
We'll add that into the lab there then.
Mhm.
for
Can
the-
you repeat that again?
All right. Sunflowers and other specialty grains or vegetables for the pet food or specialty food processing industry.
I don't know what I did with my copy. Here,
Here's my signature back.
Well, let it be.
Here's my signature.
I don't know what I did with it.
Thank you.
I know you gave it to me, but I stuck so many papers together here.
The last line covers it anyway. It says other crops may qualify.
Yeah.
That's a catch-all.
Yeah. This way we get the sunflowers in there. I'm gonna have to go home and dig out my sunflower shakers. More pigments. And they're still in business, but it's not Baymore anymore. I mean, it's called now.
else to put cut flowers in that?
No, I think that would go under horticulture.
Oh,
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
wondering if sunflowers counted as that, but I don't know enough.
Depends, if you're using them like tree guys are, for getting people to come work there.
right.
But John's over there growing them and they're going down to Baymore.
It doesn't matter where they go, but in order to get the under 35 acre deal there,
Yeah.
this is the way we had to go.
Right.
And the
So
biggest
that,
thing that,
yeah, they just,
biggest thing that other counties that I talked to, they recommend sunflowers. So,
Next time I'm gonna dig my sunflower pictures up.
so what, do we need a motion? as
I make
to
a
accept
motion, okay, I make a motion that we, change the amendments as proposed, on the sheet paper. It changes to Article 6.4, A1B, 6.4 EB, and add Section 6, Article 6.5.
I second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, we have that. The ranking of the Youse farm. We have done the ranking, I have the papers here. We came up with 61.53 score.
Is that the total?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And,
You want a copy of what we did? I could give you mine if you said in the back. No.
Now, how many more,
Okay.
Send it back to me then
Okay.
when you're done.
how many more are ranking in this round? Or is that for the next round of money, or where?
Well, this one will be going in January. That's the opening of the next round, right?
January, May 31st, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you round or, but you have four of them.
Would have to be in January.
Yeah, so application scheduled is the following, round one is after February first, round two is after May first, round three is after August first, round four is after November first.
But isn't it closed now till we get settled on the farms we have in?
Basically, you're doing round four right now, cause you never did any ranking, not round four, but technically speaking.
All right,
Okay, I wanna go back a little bit. So we're looking at the minutes there and what we discussed today about funding. right? And it says right here, Mr. Sawyer motion to request $750,000 from the bond for farmland preservation. The motion was not seconded. So we need to put that, I'm gonna put that motion on the floor again.
No,
Someone needs to.
no, wait, we have to find out from the boys in the back here what they're gonna be putting in, because that has to be completed by the end of January. That has to be in the state's hands,
I understand,
so
but
when
They
we find
Mr.
out what they
Sofranco-
wanna put in.
Mr. Sofranco wanted a request and we didn't get the request in, is that correct?
Yes, you can send us a request and then we look at the request, but other than that, yeah, we can't give you a number here tonight.
Okay, so again, I will make a motion that we request from the commissioners $750,000 from the bond for farmland preservation.
All right, that's fine. What do the other members of the board here have a figure in their mind as to what we should be asking for?
So for discussion, remember last
I look at their. look at
month's
their-
meeting, David said that we got $1 million the first time and they gave us 1.1. And the counties that were contributing less than the $1 million were getting a higher match than the 1.1.
Right.
And that's why we figured, that's why I made the motion, well, we won't go to 750, or we won't go to $1 million, ask them for $1 million because of the match. So we'll ask for less from the commissioners, so we hopefully get more on the match from the state.
Oh, you got a 2-for-1 match, is what you're gonna get.
Well, that would be
That's,
fun. Well,
do you people back here have any idea where you're gonna pull the money from that we can use to send to the state? We have that resolution that was passed, a $10 million resolution, so My question to you is, are you gonna be using that money to forward to the state, or do you have to take that money that you're gonna put up for the 2-to-1 match out of your budget? I hope I made myself clear there.
And when does this have to be put in by?
It has to be in by the end of January.
So I'm just looking at this here. Are you looking like, we have the bond farm
That's paid.
and the 5 farms are good. So you're looking for funding
For
for the
next year.
Straucus
No, no,
and the Solert farm.
no, we have
No,
that.
no, we.
Okay, you have that.
We have
Okay.
that. We have.
And is that what that 452,000 is for? What's the remaining on the, what I have on the agenda? You have 452,000 left.
I think David had said about 80.
All right, so
Is that
if,
correct?
But you have 80 with the Straucus and Solert farm in that, you have 80 left yet.
But
112. If I'm not successful in finding another,
Okay.
uh. That's, and if, are you looking at the minutes at the bottom there? So. David's saying if I were to accept, we'd have approximately 112 that we need to encumber by the first of the year, right? What we're looking for is, and if we look at that, what Dick just said about getting 2-to-1 for less than $1 million. So if you pledge from the farmland bond issue, 750, right? And we get 2-to-1 for that, that's 2.25, right? If you give us $1 million, we're only gonna get 2.15, right? So it's more advantageous for the board as a whole, for your board and for ours, to stretch that bond money if you only give us $750,000 commitment for thing. Go ahead, Dick.
But the other money that's already tied up for the 5 farms and Straucus and your farm, why should that diminish what we're asking for?
It shouldn't diminish what we're asking for, because we're looking.
So why can't we ask for $1 million up front?
Okay,
It's just
one more,
conversation's sake.
okay, one more time. What you just said before, right? If we get 750 from the commissioners as a commitment, and we get 2-to-1 on the match for the state, that totals 2.25 million, right? If we get 1 million from them, we get 2.15. We're getting $100,000 more by taking less of asking them for less of a match
Right.
put to the state. And it stretches the bond money out further for other purposes.
No, just asking. But we also get the tipping fees at the landfill, and we also get a transfer tax too, 1%.
Okay, I understand that.
Yeah,
Like I
so-
said, we should, someone please second the motion so David can send them a letter saying that we're requesting 750 on the bond. So that we can get this in by the 31st of January, so we don't miss the deadline. If we don't make the deadline, then whatever they give us this year, we don't get a match for. And they're gonna expect us to use it and we're not getting a match. Someone please second the motion. Unless you have a different figure.
That's why I was asking, why are we asking for the figure you're talking about? Why can't we ask for more? And I heard your explanation, all well and fine. But why would they give us less when we already used up all the money, Bobby? All the money that's there
Okay,
is
yeah.
encumbered.
For the simple fact is, if they give us 750, we get a 2-for-1 match.
Yes.
That gives us 2.25. If they give us $1 million, so that's $250,000 that they don't have to use for next year.
I clearly heard you before.
So this is the smart way to do it. We're gonna still have the same, we're gonna have more money by them giving us 750 and getting a 2-to-1 match from the state than a 1.15 match if they give us $1 million.
You have input, Daniel?
And they already know this. And we're gonna work different than other government agencies, we're gonna work together. We're requesting it, and if it's a dumb request, we're relying on you to use your own good judgment, because you answer to the county. We just have our own agenda.
And are you gonna be able to use that 2 million? You know what I mean? Like, isn't there
How many-
another
how
round
many-
that opens up next year again?
Yes,
Yeah, there's
and we don't,
additional,
we
how
don't-
many farms are on this list yet?
14.
there's 14, there's
that are on
14
this
farms
list.
on the list.
Putting funds on the.
But do you think that a lot of them could go within the next year? I mean, that's the thing about it, like, we're gonna tax the
Oh, yeah.
people on $1 million.
With the last,
And are you gonna use the money?
with the last 2 million that you
Oh, yeah.
gave us, we have it almost all encumbered. The five farms that we're currently looking at in the state system right now is 22,467 dollars, right?
Yeah.
That used up your million and the state's million
Right.
on 5 farms. We have 14 in the pipeline.
Are the other farms, are they bigger or similar to them, or does it look like they're gonna be all?
We have five farms there, Rocky, but we took 2 specialty farms that we also had so many $100,000 left over. And we selected his and this Rockets family farm. That puts us almost down to nothing. So it's, if you feel,
May I ask
that's the
this
proper
question?
way to go here?
Mr. Chairman, before you vote, may I ask this question?
Pardon?
May I ask this question?
Yeah, sure.
Coming at it with that number, 750. How many of those, you have 14 farms that are in the pipeline based on the tax thing. How many of those farms are you actually gonna get done next year?
Depends what we have to spend.
So, well, okay, so what?
If we get a 2-to-1 match, you heard what he said, a little over 2 million.
I understand, but take it this way, if I say to you, here's $2 million, can you really spend that money in that year? Will you get all of that done, or should you? No, okay. So
Oh, yeah.
in what I'm saying to you, are you better off saying, well, we're gonna gear to try to get enough money for 1 or 2 farms as to what you can accomplish? And then it's less of a burden on everybody. So you take the number from, and I'm not saying that you don't get them, I'm just saying you take the number from 750 down to what you think you can work with that year. So come up with a number of what you think you can, like, there's no sense in taxing people on $1 million when you're only gonna spend 100,000 is, I guess what I'm trying to say here.
And we agree with you.
So are you better off doing it in that step process and accomplishing what you want rather than,
Even if you got the 2.2 million, Mr. Sefranco, you have 14 farms I have on my paper now. I had 4 requests in the last month. And people want to put into the program, but you know what the biggest drawback is for these people? I'm 75, 78 years old. Am I gonna get money out of the program before I kick the bucket?
and I understand that. But what I'm saying is if you have all the money, but you're not gonna accomplish what you have, you're basically borrowing money that you don't need to borrow yet.
I agree with him on a lot of this because here's what you run into. We had no problem spending it for all 7 of these. We've moved along with this good. You've hired a full-time person to support this now. So I don't see how you couldn't get money and run another 5 to 7 farms through with this. Just like, I know what you're saying. Like, we set this pace now. I mean, Northampton County does 20 farms in a year. If we can't do 5, that's pretty pathetic. I'm just saying.
If you sit on it, Nick, if we don't.
If we sit on this longer, these people that are in their 70s and 80s, it's just going to be less and less.
Yeah, or you're gonna wind up
We're gonna be
having
behind.
20
Right,
instead of 14.
right.
Like, you gotta stay ahead of it a little bit, but I mean,
Right.
I think send your request.
And that's why I hit you with the request, because you gotta decide what your workload is gonna be.
But now they're gonna depend on you to expedite them a little bit since
Oh,
it's
sure,
gonna
you're
be
gonna
part
handle
of your job.
So someone seconds
So-
750 motion.
What do you think?
And how long have these 14 farms been on the list?
Some
years,
some of them,
too long.
some of them years, depending on where they rank. You gotta remember, the rankings
Some are
depend,
7, 8 years.
The rankings go by soils and then location and development pressure, sewage.
8, 9, 10. I have 10 that have been on there for a couple of years, and I just got another one, the Ops Farm, which is gonna go to the top of the pile according to our rankings here, so you could easily spend it, and you could easily take those farms in. And I don't have to take so much heat when they call, so give me an explanation why it's not being done. So, all right, as a board here,
Motion on the
I
board.
give it a motion by Robert there. Do you want to go along with that figure? Huh? Tanner?
Yeah.
All right,
There we have the second. Thank you.
all right. We have a second on that?
I made the motion. They both said yes.
All right, unanimous decision there. It passes.
David, get that request printed tomorrow for the meeting on Thursday.
How many?
I just don't want this to run out of steam. Do you know what I'm
Well, yeah,
saying?
and,
Like,
and
I
I
just,
tell you what, the longer you wait, we're gonna lose some.
right,
Like
How
he
many
said, how many
meetings,
people,
How many meetings do you people have left to get this,
the
in your
23rd,
budget?
We have one.
the
23rd.
23rd.
One more meeting you can do it with. We don't wanna put your fingers to the grindstone, but are we gonna get it done?
They'll consider a request as long as
Yeah.
they get.
As long as we get a
Right,
request,
as long
and
as
that's what
you
I said from the
consider it.
beginning, you got, that's why you have a board here.
Adam,
On
will you
request,
set that down
tell
to
them that
them?
you need to notify the state board
Come on,
by January 31st. Please,
We'll get that letter out tomorrow.
thank you.
tomorrow.
And I was afraid like that with the steel farm, I thought we were gonna lose that.
right,
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
Right,
it's like, we're gonna run it,
And she was on how many years too?
yeah, and it's thinking like, what happens if we lose that here? And I said Mahoning Valley and I think Franklin Township, we gotta, I mean, not that the rest of the county is not worth it, but we have to start, or pretty soon you're gonna have, I said, I just seen the other day, Toll Brothers bought a big property down in Allentown area. So they're probably gonna put 300 homes in.
right.
What's stopping them with all the influx that we're getting from New York? Somebody's gonna buy one of these acreages up.
Biggest concern
The
that's
problem
coming
on
up.
on my end is the 5,000 warehouse jobs.
Yeah.
The other day I came from Hazelton and I went towards St. Matthews. I went towards Ginters, coming over the mountain. With the leaves off the trees, I looked up towards Hazelton. There's the newest warehouse, 1,500 feet by 1,500 feet. And I walked through the woods and I can look down on my farm.
I'm getting a lot of feedback on the warehouses too for Mahoning Valley
Yeah, that's what I said.
and solar farms.
David, there was a thing there that you were gonna look into the solar farms on, according to the state
Yeah.
bylaws. What did you find out?
Well, I told you about that.
Yeah,
at
you
that
told me,
meeting. It
yeah.
was, you couldn't put solar farms on a preserved farm, only like, if you wanna put it on your house for your own use.
That's,
But you can't put it on the
That's a
field.
definite, that's a definite.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Just what the farm uses, I think, is the,
Yeah, you
Not
can't
sell it,
use
you
it
cannot sell
for,
it.
yeah.
you can't put it on a preserved farm
Right.
and cover up the farmland.
All right. Is there any correspondence from you, David? Who are we gonna be dealing here with? You, or are we gonna be dealing with Anna here?
You're gonna start dealing with
When-
that more. I'm just finishing up with the funding in the 5 farms. Since I started them, I was gonna finish them up.
All right,
But
all right.
Anna's gonna be taking over some of that from there. But I mean, you're still gonna be dealing with me with funding for right now and those 5 farms
All
and
right.
everything.
That answers my question.
We don't have to do anything else with this?
As long as you have all numbers, you're good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like, is appendix B okay? There's nothing in there?
Worry about that.
Okay,
You're
Or,
fine.
Alright.
Yeah, I'll point out
The
that.
numbers you need are all.
okay, sounds good, sorry.
Is there anything else there, David?
No.
Is there anything else you want to bring up?
Well, I don't know.
Anyone on the board? Then we'll call for adjournment.
Make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
And hopefully we get a good response from the commission.